And I do think with that said, even though it is, it's not great news. I mean, anything with Social Security, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, nothing's really quick. Even trying to get them on the phone isn't quick, but at least knowing what to expect. And I feel like this is part of what we provide with hope, and knowledge of what's going on and what we can expect. And then what we can do to be in that small percentage of, let's say, reconsideration. There's still 15% of people who are going to get approved. So what can we do to help our clients be in that percentage?
Right. And those are national statistics. Hello, Ivy. How are you?
Great. How are you doing, Pete?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. So today I wanted to talk a little bit with you and go over some information for our viewers, just about maybe, a frequently asked question. And I know that with you dealing with a lot of new clients coming into the firm, one of the questions I had for you today is, what is one of the top questions that you get asked by new clients that are coming in? And then maybe you and I can address it for people who aren't in the firm or who are thinking about coming in the firm, just so, they might have the same question.
Yeah. Well, probably the number one question I get asked, and it's understandable, considering our clients are out of work and unable to earn an income, is how long is this going to take? Meaning, how long are they going to have to go without any income?
Well, it's a great question, and I think it kind of folds into two parts, a two-part question, and I'll address one just for today, and then maybe we can do another podcast on the other. I think, how long does it take to go through the Social Security disability process is one big topic in and of itself. I think, can I have income while I go through the Social Security disability process could be a whole nother topic, as you know, because we can talk about, unsuccessful work attempts or less than SGA, substantial gainful employment. And I don't want to deep dive into both topics. So how about I talk about the process itself and just what Social Security disability looks like for those who are going through it, likely for the first time. So there's 4 important kind of steps along the way as a client or a claimant, as Social Security will refer to people who are applying for disability benefits, whether it be SSI or SSDI or one of the other programs. There's 4 important steps along the way. And we break those down into 1, it's called the application. 2, request for reconsideration, or as we call it internally in the firm, reconsideration or recon. The 3rd step would be the hearing, and the 4th step would be the appeals counsel. And it's literally those 4 steps that exist within Social Security that a person will likely go through to get their disability benefits. Now, some people can win at any point along the way, win their benefits. But if you look at statistics nationwide, which is something we look at, it will literally, the vast majority of the people who apply for disability will end up going through at least 3 of the 4 steps. And unfortunately, some folks go through the 4th. So the first step, which we call application, is where we literally will sit down and a claimant will apply, and they can apply with our firm or on their own. There's a lot of different ways you can apply, which you can speak to probably better than I can. But you can apply through our firm with someone literally sitting with you and going through the application with you, or they can do it on their by themselves over the phone or online, or even go down to their local Social Security office and do it. And once you get all the right paperwork in, the average time frame now is about 7.5 months. And as you and I both know, we like to emphasize that word average because that means We've seen cases take as long as a year at the application level, and then sometimes as quick as 2 to 3 months. So it sort of depends, but the average time frame that's being reported from Social Security is about 7.5 months of application. Now, currently, nationwide, and again, this is different from state to state, so I only want to give nationwide as we represent folks all over the country. But nationwide, the win rate is about 48%, and that's current, okay? We've seen as low as 35% win rate. So now the win rate is actually a little higher. And so one thing that happens and that you and I are experienced with is that when it's when people get denied, they have 60 days to file a request for reconsideration or an appeal. A lot of folks think, and especially because you've seen those denial letters, right? Where it almost appears like they get denied and they have to reapply. And what do we tell clients about appealing versus reapplying?
It's much better to appeal and continue your case versus starting a new application.
That's 100 absolutely correct. Now, it's a case-by-case basis, but you should definitely appeal versus reapply. The instinct based off the denial letter, when you read it, is to go ahead and reapply.
Yeah.
So you have 65 days to file this appeal, and that literally goes to the next level, which we call reconsideration. And it's like saying, hey, look, can you please reconsider my application? And it goes to an entirely different person, an entirely different team of people that makes a new determination or a second determination on whether you're disabled or not. What we're being told by Social Security right now is that the reconsideration level on average is about a 6-month wait to get a decision. So now the clients are in it, or the claimants are in it for about 7.5 months. Now, if they are denied, which the majority are, now they have to wait another, on average, 6 months. Do you know what the denial rate is at reconsideration right now? What Social Security is telling us?
It looks like, at least at this point, and it does fluctuate a bit, but the did you say denial rate?
Denial rate at reconsideration.
Yeah. So the denial rate at reconsideration is 85%.
That's absolutely correct. 85% denial rate.
Yeah.
And this fluctuates every year. But since I've been doing Social Security law, which has been the last 21 years, it has literally fluctuated. And when I say fluctuated at reconsideration, I think the best, if I remember correctly, I've ever seen it is around 80% denial rate up to, and on up. So 85% sort of hits that range. Now, I said there was 4 levels, and we've literally walked through 2 of them, okay, on how long the process takes and how long the denial is. And now claimants are in this process for over a year, okay? Now, if you're denied, we request a hearing before an administrative law judge. What's unique about this is going in front of a judge. It's literally the first time a client will get to sit down either in person or by phone or by video, Zoom or MS Teams, and have their case heard by that person verbally. Wherein before, it's all been done by medical records and everything is done in writing. So they'll go in front of an administrative law judge, and the average wait time nationwide, what we've been told by Social Security and everything that we're reading, is about 15.5 months. Okay, that's nationwide. Now, it is so state to state dependent, and I would encourage people to call your team and ask them whatever state they live in, because we have the resources to be able to check out each state. And if you live in a more rural state or a less populated state, let's say like, Wisconsin versus California, the wait time will be drastically different. In some states, we're seeing wait times for a hearing as low as 8 months. And in other states, we're seeing wait times as long as 28 months. So it literally depends on what state you live in. and what hearing office get assigned to, right? So right now, though, the national average is about 15 and a half months. The success rate at hearing on a national level, and, I'm not giving out firm statistics, I'm just giving out national statistics, is that there's about a 45% to 50% success rate at the hearing level. And again, that's not just office dependent, but that's judge dependent as well. We see some judges, as you know, that will pay as high as 60, 65%, if not higher, and other judges that will pay as low as 10 to 12%. And so often, a lot of people will say, why did this judge pay 10 to 12% and this judge pay 65%? In a perfect world, we would see the law being applied equally to everyone.
Right.
However, those judges have personalities just like you and me and everyone else that we know personally, and they bring all that stuff into the hearing room as well. So you have judges that are just prone to be less likely to believe a claimant, where you have other judges that are more likely to believe a claimant who's applying. And so that's why I believe there's such a drastic change in percentage rates between judges. So if you are unfortunate enough to lose at the hearing level, the last step within Social Security would be the appeals council. So we talked about the application level, step 1, reconsideration level, step 2, hearing level, step 3, and the appeals council would be step 4. And the appeals council is the only office, it's based right out of Washington, D.C., and it's the only office that hears cases that have been unsuccessful at the hearing office. The average wait time at the appeals council is 12 months. 12 months. And for anything positive to happen to your case, or I should say, let me just say it this way, there's about an 88 to 89% denial rate at the appeals council. And this fluctuates year after year, but it's typically, in my last 20 years or so doing Social Security law, we see high 80% denial rate. And if you're denied there, that exhausts all your appeals within the Social Security Administration. However, one thing that as a law firm we do is that we can represent people in federal court. And that has 3 steps itself: United States District Court, your circuit court, and again, that depends on where you live. If you live on the West Coast, for example, your case would then be filed in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and then the Supreme Court of the United States. We consider that, or at least I consider that, as sort of a whole new separate case, because we're going to be suing the Social Security Administration within federal court, and it's filing a complaint against the commissioner and walking through that. And I could do a whole nother podcast just about federal court and what that looks like. But right now, the 4 steps within Social Security are application, reconsideration, hearing, and the appeals council. And the unfortunate news we have to tell clients is that, statistically speaking, you are going to be on a 3 to 3.5 year journey, potentially, to win your disability benefits. Now, you can win at any one of those steps along the way. We are, and as you know, with helping people apply, I think is a huge advantage for our clients, because we constantly are training on how to put people in the best position to win and how to present their case. To Social Security, that shines the light on why they're disabled, how their disability affects them.
Yeah. I think that sometimes people have a tendency to think that you only need an attorney when you get to the hearing. And as we're seeing, there's so much time that's gone by before you even get there. And since, at least at the application level, with the win rate that it's at now, which is definitely seems to be slightly on the higher side, at least where we're at, why not have an attorney help set you up to win sooner versus later?
Yeah.
Instead of just assuming that, well, I'll just wait to get, I'll wait a year before I get the help. There's so much that we can do now.
Right. I mean, and you and I will probably do another podcast just about all the things that a lawyer can do, or our firm specifically does for our clients to help put them in the best possible position for their case. And for example, and I don't want to deep dive into it today, but one example would be reaching out to their medical providers and having them requesting that they fill out a specially designed questionnaire that I've designed, kind of edited over the last 20 years that asks questions that are specific information regarding what Social Security is looking for to help make a decision. And if we get one of those in the file, that's great. Or ask a doctor to write a letter, and we have a pretty thorough letter explaining to the doctor how to write a letter. And then just keeping a case on track in and of itself, because as you and I both know, one of the big things they're doing is shipping these cases across the country. Do you know why? And I think we talked about this a little bit, and it's okay if you don't know why, but do you know why Social Security has taken these cases now, are going much longer now than they even were taking pre-pandemic?
I think, as far as I know, the reason it's taking longer is not necessarily more people applying, but the staffing shortage at Social Security, both at the local offices and at disability determination services.
That's exactly right. So there was, and kind of the most recent stuff I've been reading and following up with Social Security, is that there was about a 7% reduction in staff nationwide at the Social Security office, which hasn't been replenished yet since the pandemic, and about a 25% attrition rate or reduction at the DDSs across the country. And for a lot of our listeners who may not know, DDS offices are run per state, meaning like Oregon has their own DDS office, Washington has their own, and California, and so forth and so forth. And Social Security works super closely and hand in hand with DDS, because what Social Security will do is they'll ship the case to your local disability determination services office. They will recommend or adopt a decision, whether it be a denial or an award, and then they'll ship that decision back to Social Security, and Social Security a lot of times will rubber stamp it whenever DDS is. So if DDS is lacking 25% staff rate, as you can imagine, DDS as well as Social Security, they're just waiting, and there's created this backlog of decisions. Now, the good news is, I just kind of recently read, is that the budget for Social Security has actually been increased for this year and next year, where Social Security should get a big influx of money for operations. The bad news is, as you and I both know, it takes time to train staff. It takes time to get people up and running where they can hopefully be making good decisions and making, knowing how to do their job. I mean, part of your job, and I would encourage people to go back and watch our interview about you and what you do with our firm, is you spend a ton of time training. And so training just takes time.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I am grateful for your time today, speaking of time. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news when we talk about how long Social Security is taking, but we hope to see some improvement here in the near future. We reach out to our Congress people and folks who can be in charge of that, those type of decisions about funding, and it looks like some funding is on its way to Social Security.
Yeah. So, and I do think, with that said, even though it is, it's not great news. I mean, anything with Social Security, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, nothing's really quick. Even trying to get them on the phone isn't quick, but at least knowing what to expect. And I feel like this is part of what we provide, with hope and knowledge of what's going on and what we can expect, and then what we can do to be in that small percentage of, let's say, reconsideration there's still 15% of people who are going to get approved. So what can we do to help our clients be in that percentage?
Right. And those are national statistics. Those aren't firm statistics on how we do at each level. But you're absolutely right. We win cases at recon. We win cases at application. We definitely win cases at hearing. And the appeals council. And so you're absolutely right. But, for our particular audience today, I just wanted to share national statistics and what Social Security is telling us their numbers are under the Freedom of Information Act. So anyway, thank you for your time. I'm going to let you get back to work, and we'll chat later.
Sounds great.